You realize sometime I'm going to slip and fall when I'm going to put that up there. It's going to get caught on video. That's going to be something good. All right. Now, what we're doing today, we're going to graph equations in slope-intercept form. Notice the difference. Last time when we were doing standard form, our x and y were on the same side. All right. This time, our equations look like this. Y equals mx plus b. Now, I put the m and the b in red so that you can tell that those are different, okay? Those are always going to be numbers, all right? The black x and y, those are going to stay as x and y, but m and b will always be a number when we're graphing it. Now, m stands for our slope, and b stands for our y-intercept. Now, I heard a teacher say one time, one way that you can kind of remember this, m is kind of like mountain slope, right? And the slope of a mountain tells you how steep it is. So m is kind of like your mountain slope, and b you can think of as begin, all right? So b is begin. B is going to be where we begin our graphs. But the technical terms, m is our slope, and b is our y-intercept. So what we're going to do, as I look at this, I have y equals mx plus b. The number in front of our x is our slope, and our y-intercept is where we are going to begin. So my y-intercept is -2. So on my y-axis, I'm going to come down to -2. Now, 1/3 is my slope. All right? 1/3 is my slope. I'm going to write it. I'm not able to write fractions very nice in PowerPoint, so I'm just going to copy it down underneath here. Okay? Now, slope, when you see this and this is a slope, the top number means your rise and your bottom number means your run. Okay? Rise over run. Now, how many of you guys really understand and could easily define those terms, rise and run? All right? That's what I thought. Who talks like that? I don't. All right? And neither do you. Rise over run, those are a common universal mathematical term, okay? But they don't make sense to us. Here's what I say. I say up, over, over. All right? Raise your hand if you think you could define up for me. Raise your hand if you think you could define over. Haley, you don't think you could define up? Could you define up? Yeah, you could. All right. All right. So up means up and over means over. Now, over is always going to the right, just like you read. Okay, that's the only thing you have to remember. Up and over. Now, my slope is, I'm sorry, I miswrote that. My slope is 1/3. So that means from my y-intercept, I'm going up 1 over 3. So from my y-intercept, up 1 over 3. That's my second dot. Now, I always like more than 2 dots. So I'm going to go from here again. Up 1 over 3. This is another point. And so, draw the line through it. Put your arrows on both ends. That's the graph of this line. This one right here. My b, my y-intercept is +1. So I'm going to come up 1 on the y-axis. Next, my slope is 2/3. I'm going up 2 over 3. So from my y-intercept, up 2 over 3. Up 2 over 3. And right there's my line. What's different about this one? Quentin?
That was a -1.
Okay, this is a negative slope. We're going to start the same. Our y-intercept is +3, so I'm going up 3. Now, this slope, I want you to notice a couple things. I'm going to write it 3 different ways. This is the same as this is the same as this. All right? So it doesn't matter where that negative sign is written. It's all the same. If your slope is negative, instead of this being up, it means down. Okay? So down 1 over 4. And again, over is always to the right. So from your y-intercept, down 1 over 4. This graph doesn't have enough room to make another one. So right there is our line. Y equals negative 1/4 x plus 3. I would like everybody to graph this first one. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. Everybody graph that. All right, Erica, what's my first step? Go up 2. Very good. My y-intercept is 2, so I'm going to be right here. Next step? Very good. Down 1 over 3. This is negative 1, so I'm going down 1 over 3. Down 1 over 3. So right here is my line. Everybody do this one. Negative 2/3 x minus 1. All right, Bryce, what's my first step? Very good. Down 1. My y-intercept is negative 1. My slope is negative 2/3, so down 2 over 3. Down 2 over 3. And right there is my line. All right, over here. What's different about this one? What's different between this one and the ones we've done before? This thing on. Check, check. Janine! It's not a fraction, okay? Now, graphing lines is the only time ever that fractions are easier than whole numbers. So here's what I want to do. I want to change this into a fraction. Devin, how do I change 2 into a fraction? 2 over 1. All right? So now, this is up 2 over 1. Everybody graph that. Graph 2x minus 3. Jasmine, where do I start? Go down 3. So I'm going to go, my y-intercept is negative 3. And then what's my next step? This is positive. So I'm going to go up 2 over 1. Starting from my y-intercept, up 2 over 1. Now this one we can get a bunch of points. So I'm going to get a lot of them. It'll make my graph a whole lot nicer. Right there. Okay. Next, I'd like you to graph that first one. Y equals 2x. See if you can figure that out. Y equals 2x. Now, one of my goals as a math teacher is that you're bored. Alright? Cody's like, mission accomplished. Alright? Now, I don't mean I want to make my class boring, but what I want is, I want you to be so solid on something that you're like, man, this is so easy. Alright? Because the opposite of being bored is being confused. And I think everybody would admit it's a lot better to feel confident and bored in a class than it is to be confused. Alright? So, with that, I know that this is slow today, but this is like the foundation, alright? We're building a house right now. You guys know that. I've talked about that. The very first thing you got to do is get a solid foundation, alright? Now, the foundation's not fun to build, okay? You don't see the foundation with the house. But if the foundation isn't there, if it's not solid, your whole house will fall apart, alright? This stuff is our foundation. We are going to use this graphing concept over and over and over and over and over again, and it is going to get very, very complicated. So, make sure that you have this solid. Now, who thinks they've got an idea how to graph this? Cody, what do I do? What's my y-intercept?
0.
0, good. If there's no y-intercept out here, this is just like plus 0. So, I'm going to go right through the origin. What's next, Cody?
You go up 2 over 1.
Very good. My slope is 2 over 1. So from here, from my y-intercept, up 2 over 1. Very nice. Very nice. How about graph this one? Y equals x. Graph that. Y equals x. Okay. Use prior knowledge to figure this one out, okay? Use prior knowledge. You are asking yourself a question because there is something there that you don't see, but you know the answer to that question. You know the answer to the question. And I'm going to prove that you know the answer to that question. Okay, we've already said the first answer, right? The first answer, if there's no number out here, our y-intercept is 0. So that's our first dot. Now, Trent, the question you are asking yourself is, what is the slope if there's no number in front of x, right? That's the question you're asking. Well, what number goes in front of x?
0 or 1.
Anytime you have a variable, if there's no number, it is a
1.
1. It is a 1. Alright? Anytime there's no number in front of the variable, it's always a 1. So, Trent, what's my slope?
Over 1. Or up 1.
Up 1, over 1. So from here, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. Alright? And this is a graph that we should recognize. Alright? Y equals x is just a straight line going at a 45-degree angle. That's y equals x. Let's do another one. Let's graph this. Y equals 2. I showed you this one yesterday. It's kind of a tricky one. Remember what I said. If you only have an x, will only have a y, remember what that's going to look like. Carl, if we only have an x or only have a y, what's our line going to look like? Yep, it's either going to be horizontal or vertical. All right, so let's go up to this point, y equals 2. My y-intercept is 2. Carl, is this going to be a horizontal line or a vertical line? Horizontal line. Okay, it's going to be flat. Remember what I said. You are almost never going to draw a line over an axis. All right? You're almost never going to do that. I will show you the exception to that later, but for right now, that's what I want you to know. All right? I got a comic for you. I got to warn you, this one's kind of wrong. So we got a dog there floating in a life raft, and the rescue boat's just pulled up to him and says, "Hey boy, how you doing? Look at him, Dan. Poor guy's been floating out here for days, but he's still just as fat and happy as ever." Nobody? I know you guys have a comment, but I don't know how to get that. I don't know how to get that up there. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, go ahead. It was a nice distance on it, by the way. Yes.
It's on Google.
It's on Google. What do I Google? Now somebody got it, right? Why is that dog alone? What's the dog doing alone in the boat? See the glasses and the hat and the watch? Oh, that's why he's still fat and well fed. He ate his master. All right. If you have extra, please keep them at the back of your row.